Hello guys, it's NautoAisDx. And of course, I'm also going to be talking about this, but just in case for people who don't know, if you're a Nintendo fan and you've been following the news since this afternoon, I found this out on Twitter, credit to War64 and Go Nintendo, and that is Reggie Fils-aime, president of Nintendo and COO of Nintendo, will be retiring at age 57 on April 15, 2019. Yes, you heard me right. Reggie is retiring. They say, but you're wondering, wait a minute, 57? Isn't that too young for him to retire? It doesn't matter. If you have enough money and you can live up to how much you earn, hey, you can retire at any age you want. It doesn't matter, believe it or not. I seen famous people that retire now younger, in their 30s, 40s. There are even some in their late 20s, but it just depends on the situation. But the bottom line is, in the case with Reggie retiring at age 57, he probably have enough money to live off. He did what he wanted to do, that the company he has a passion with, and he wanted to spend time with his family. That was the reason why basically he wanted to retire, is he wants to spend more with his family and probably do other things. But it's mostly, yes, spend with the family. Because believe it or not, Reggie's job as president of Nintendo of America, it's not just staying in a building. He travels a lot, especially to Japan, talking about what Nintendo's going to offer. And of course, he has to relay that to the American audience. And of course, market it, trying to convince the general consumer why Nintendo. So, of course, in the past, you've seen me talk about Reggie, the good things and the bad things, especially during the Wii U times. Yeah, the super bad things about it, but, Reggie is Reggie. So, here's a little backstory of who Reggie is for people who don't know. He was hired as Vice President of Sales and Market. And believe it or not, I think in 2003, May of 2003. But the thing is, that was actually one of the new positions that Nintendo created for Nintendo of America, believe it or not. That's that marketing job. Because, believe it or not, in the past, with the N64, the GBA, and those years, the marketing was really poor, believe it or not. The DS, for a while, it had a slow start. The N64, of course, didn't really catch up against the PlayStation 1, the original one. And of course, people can't forget the Virtual Boy's controversy. So, and one of the biggest problems was the market. The lack of market. How do they market it to the general audience in the US? So, 2003, they had an idea. We need somebody who's good with marketing. Let's create a occupation, sales and marketing, and that's when they got Reggie. And of course, Reggie's first debut was at E3. Basically, his famous line, "My name is Reggie. I'm about kicking butt and taking names." So, Reggie. So basically, the first guy I saw this guy, and believe it or not, it was a year for me, 2003. I was more a Sony supporter, yes, PlayStation supporter, than a Nintendo supporter. When basically Final Fantasy VII, that's when I'm like, oh man, I'm all Sony. Believe it or not, I was Sony, and I wanted Nintendo, but I was going to treat it as a secondary console, and of course I did. And prior to that, with the Super Nintendo and Nintendo, I refused to buy anything Sega because I was a freaking fanboy. And then, of course, after a while with Sony, I'm like, wow, they got better games than Nintendo. So I sort of ignored Nintendo until I think when Pokemon Ruby Sapphire for the Game Boy Advance came out a year later, yes. And believe it or not, when I bought this game, I bought it on a clearance. So that's how I was out-tuned. I wasn't even very in tune to Nintendo at the time. So when I saw this guy, Reggie, the first thing in my mind, and again, please don't take it personal, this is 2003, 2004. I said, who's this Reggie guy? Man, the way he looks. I mean, I was at college, my second or third year in college, if I remember. That was like a long time ago. So, and I was like a very Sony supporter at the time. I'm like, who's this guy? Who's this douchebag? Why does he act like that? Oh man! So this guy from Nintendo, and he's gonna make Nintendo great again. That was my attitude, because at the time, believe it or not, also is it was still time in the year for me that all I care about gaming. I didn't care about the business side. I didn't care about the future of Nintendo, I didn't care about the people who work for Nintendo. Yeah, Shigeru Miyamoto is a legend, but yeah, he's the guy who created Mario and Donkey Kong. What of it? Who's this? Oh, Reggie. Oh, great. Some guy that looks like a grunt douchebag. I know. I do apologize. And Satoru Iwata. Like, who's this guy? Oh, he's the president of Nintendo. Oh, wow. Well, what a nerd. I mean, that was basically, believe it or not, my attitude at the time. Because, again, I was just about games. Show me the games, and I'll support you guys. That's all about it. So, in the beginning, like, oh, yeah, that's Reggie. Whoopee. And after a while learning about the business, understanding the business, because you have to understand sort of the business as you get old, is because, well, good business mean better products. So after a while, I started to learn who's Reggie, who's Iwata, and of course Shigeru Miyamoto. I started to basically get a better understanding who these people are, and to some extent, believe it or not, I got finally then, as I grew older, I had more respect to these people. Like, if it wasn't for Reggie, there wouldn't be what Nintendo in America is, because he was basically the face of Nintendo. If it wasn't for him marketing Nintendo probably still be in a sticky situation of trying to convince people why Nintendo. And then with Iwata, very innovative guy. He's like an inventor, created, well respected, and I do respect the guy. Yes, during the Wii U times, I was on the side that I felt like Iwata should step down, because even so, he was so great, 10,000% with creativity, innovation, invention. The features he offers for the Nintendo console was awesome. But when it comes to the business side, well, it's a little questionable there. But I did change my mind, believe it or not, when he basically announced the next Nintendo system console, which is the Switch, which before called Project NX, and also Nintendo finally embracing mobile gaming, their own way how to make mobile gaming fun. And yeah, he proved it. Fire Emblem Heroes, Pocket Camp, Mario Run, to some extent Mitomo, believe it or not, I know. They made those games fun, except for Mitomo's not really a game, it's more of a social app. But the bottom line is, yeah, they made it fun. And Reggie was there to market it. Trying to convince the general consumer, the gamer, why Nintendo? Why you should play Nintendo than other system. Even so, it's a lost cause, he'll still try to convince people. I mean, with the case with the Wii U with the third-party game, why would I want to play third-party game on the Wii U if there's already been out in the PS3 360? Oh, you get the experience with the second screen experience. Oh, better graphics. You can share your thoughts on Miiverse. Like, he's trying to find ways, and that's what's good about Reggie. He's getting a lot of ideas of trying to convince you. Oh, how does the 3DS gonna compete with Vita? Oh, we got better games. We're more friendly use. Like, even so, it's like, well, he's just BSing a lot of this stuff. He's good at it. He's managed to convince a lot of people about it. That's why Reggie's so good about what he does. And hearing him basically going to retire on April the 15th, for me, it was a shock. I thought he'll last longer, but I guess he just said, hey, you know what? I done what I could with Nintendo. My generation's done. It's time for the newest one. So, I mean, am I sad about Reggie really leaving? Not so much. The way I see it is like, I'm proud of what Reggie did. I'm proud what he did from Nintendo, from being a COO, from Vice President of Sales and Marketing to 3 years later becoming the Next, the current one, president of Nintendo of America and CEO of Nintendo of America. Yeah, the president's position before was Kirin Mishima, and of course, remember, after Iwata passed away, Kirishima took that role for a while until he was basically mentoring and nurturing Shuntaro Furukawa to be the actual, real president of the whole shebang. Same goes with what Reggie's doing right now, because who's replacing Reggie? Well, Doug Bowser. Yes, the last name is Bowser, King of the Koopas. A lot of people are going to joke about that, but hey, So, will Doug able to fulfill or fit his shoe into Reggie's? Well, we'll just have to wait and see. From what I heard, he's already been doing some good job already lately, and he basically started in 2015. So, here's the thing, a little backstory about Doug Walker's situation. People might say, wait, Doug Walker, that's a nostalgia critic, excuse me. Doug Bowser, that's what I'm trying to say. Okay, let's try it again. Doug Bowser. But wasn't there another one before him, I remember? Yes, Scott Motive. I mean, yeah, he was the vice president of sales and marketing. Here's how it goes. So when in 2006, I believe, Reggie got the position of Nintendo of America president, there was a person named Cammy Dunaway was the vice president of... She took the role of vice president of sales. Until 2010, I guess there was some mishap or whatever. She basically resigned, and they hired a new guy by the name of Scott Motive. He basically was the guy that replaced Cammy as, again, sales... vice president of sales and marketing. Man, I do apologize, I'm mixing my words here. And if you ever do on YouTube search Nintendo E3 2012 3DS Showcase, he basically hosted the 3DS Showcase on a the Nintendo Direct. So basically, that's that guy. And then somewhere in July of 2014, from what I heard, there was some managerial shift and changes. And to some extent, Scott Motive basically resigned. And in 2015, a new guy who took the position of vice president of sales and marketing, Doug Bowser, not Walker. Doug Bowser. Walker is the nostalgia critic. Don't care about that guy, but Doug Bowser. And in the video that Reggie did, basically announcing his retirement, Doug Bowser will be the next Nintendo president starting April 15. So some people might wonder, why April 15? Why April? Well, easy. It's the new year, the new start of the fiscal year for 2019 or 2020. I think that's how it works. I don't know. Maybe 2019, but I could be wrong. Somewhere down the line, 2019 to 2020 kind of makes sense, because even in Sony, there was a lot of shift changes. Jim Ryan, I think that name, I forgot, or Ryan Sterling, something like that, will be on April the 1st, April Fool Day. He'll take over as president of Sony, not Sony of America, that's Sean Layden, but a different position. And Cordero basically was going to step down. This one's a weird one, like some switcheroo role. But in the case with Reggie and Doug, April 15, Reggie's going to retire and Doug's going to take over. So, last part of this one is, did they ever have a connection with Reggie, Iwata, and Miyamoto to some extent? And the answer to that one really is, unfortunately say really, not so much, but I can understand and I have the respect for them for what they did with Nintendo. Like I said, if it was for Reggie, not a lot of people are going to know about Nintendo. He basically convinced people why Nintendo. Of course, Iwata with his innovation. Of course, Shigeru Miyamoto. And the thing about why a lot of people are also sad to some extent, I can understand, is that those three, Reggie, Satoru Iwata, Shigeru Miyamoto, were the three big faces of Nintendo. They were the holy trinity, those three are. I mean, you can say in Sony is Mike Cerny, I think his name. Well, Cerny, Andrew House, and Shuhei Yoshida. They're the three musketeers of Sony. But of course, if you heard, I know Andrew House basically resigned. He left Sony. I think Cerny's still there. Then of course, Shuhei still the president of the Sony. You know, the whole shebang of PlayStation. Okay, back to Nintendo. Now I know, unfortunately, the passing of Satoru Iwata, and now on April 15th, basically Reggie retiring. That only leaves now with Shigeru Miyamoto, and of course, if you've been noticing with Shigeru Miyamoto, to some extent, he's not been doing a lot of creating games anymore. It's basically now his role now is more advice to the young ones. So I wouldn't be surprised by starting 2019 and so on. There will be, excuse me, there'll be a new face of Nintendo. You got Doug Bowser as Nintendo of America. Shintaro Furukawa, of course, Nintendo, and wonder who's going to be a third one. Just, you know, the new face of the holy trinity of Nintendo from 2019 and beyond. So, who knows? But like I said, yeah, it is kind of unfortunate to some people. But I think, in my opinion, I think it's something new. Let the new generation step up. Let them take care of Nintendo. A lot of the old knights, the old guardians, whatever you name it, they done what they could. They done their part. It's time for a new generation. I'm just saying it. Like I said, Shintaro Furukawa, great president so far, except for the amiibo, but we'll see what happens. Doug Bowser, if he just basically got mentored by Reggie, follow suit, or basically took note of what he does, then I don't think there's going to be any problem. And then we'll see if there's going to be a new Miyamoto and Nintendo. Maybe Hideki Kamiya. Maybe not. Yeah, so like I said, if you want to know about who Reggie is or Doug Bowser, I'm going to put a lot of links in the description box, like a lot of the information who they are. And also, like, other ones such as Sky Motive, Cameron Dunaway. Like I said, they also had that same position, Vice President of Sales and Marketing. Like I said, in the end, it's like I said, to some extent, I really didn't have a connection with them. But I do, and I want to emphasize it, I do have a lot of respect. I do have a lot of respect with Iwata, with what Reggie does, whether it's a good thing or bad thing. He's only doing what he's doing, you know. He basically understands the American market, but of course, you know, Japan, you know, he's doing whatever he can, the best he can. So, you know, in the end of the day is, yeah, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. So, yeah, so with that, the last thing I'm gonna say is thank you, Reggie. With that, I'll see you guys later.